Testing, testing, testing. Perfect. Let's close that. All right, I think we are live. I'm starting just 2 minutes early because I need to leave exactly at 30 minutes. There's a lot of stuff going on today. So there's a lot of stuff I want to share aside from questions, and I'll probably do some of this in future videos as well. Primarily talking about news and other random things that's on my mind aside from Q&A. All right, so a couple of things to share. I think the first thing I wanted to share is about getting involved in ASHP. So one of the things that I get lots of questions on, let me move this over here. I can probably move that down there too. Where did it go? That's the wrong thing. Here it is. I wanted to move this over here. Actually, let me move a couple other things as well. Let me move this over here just so I can monitor this on the side. Okay, so a couple of things to share. The very first thing is about getting involved in pharmacy informatics. One of the common questions I get from either students or current pharmacists or residents, whoever, that want to get more involved in pharmacy informatics is how can I do that? And that's not talked about that much. So I wanted to share this email from our fearless leader, Sam. Sam is an amazing guy and colleague and friend and leader in the pharmacy informatics space. And he is our chair for pharmacy informatics and ASHP this year. One of the things he pointed out recently is about getting involved in the SOPIT section advisory groups. This is something that I'm personally involved in and have been involved in the last few years. It's a great way to network and to get involved in national projects. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's almost time for re-elections to participate. It will open in February. It doesn't look like there's a specific date here to participate in February, but keep an eye out for that. It's going to open in February and close April 1st. So it's relatively a short window of time, but it's a great way to participate in pharmacy informatics. So highly recommend checking that out. It should be coming up soon. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. The second thing I wanted to share is, which one should I start with first? There's so many things. Oh, how about this? I'll start with something fun. And this is for my cousin, and I told my cousin I'll do this. So let me grab this. We got some merch. This is Impro RX. I'm wearing one of the shirts right now as well. Impro RX. These are shirts that my cousin made. Let me show you the other one. Impro RX. Cool shirts. But those are just shirts that my cousin made for Christmas. I'm just kidding. It's not really merch. She just made it and wanted me to wear it for my videos. Anyways, all right. So that's the other thing I wanted to share. Really cool shirts. And then the next thing I wanted to share, and I'll probably be talking a lot more about moving forward, is artificial intelligence. Whether it's artificial intelligence in informatics in general, or in pharmacy, or in the overall healthcare space. There's a lot of talks about artificial intelligence, and I would like to start sharing some of my thoughts and comments about the topic in more depth, especially when it comes to news around it. And one of the very first things I want to share today is this article that came out, looks like it was about a week ago. White House proposing guidelines for regulating the use of AI. It's a little vague, so there's not much to gather from this. But essentially, I think the overall thought is that, AI is the big hype around healthcare right now. And so a lot of people talk about it. And there's a lot of question about AI replacing people and things like that, especially, articles like this. Dangers of artificial intelligence in medicine. This is also a recent article that came out, looks like just a couple days ago. And there's a lot of interesting articles that's coming out. A little scary in some ways. So, in this one, they mention Google AI detects breast cancer better than human doctors. And that these kind of articles come out all the time. And so the question is about, this is my personal perspective and opinion, is you can't just replace humans with AI. There has to be some regulation around it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we put this huge hype on AI. It's going to fix all these problems, but we need clinicians at that point that is helping design the algorithms, validating them, and making sure it's okay. So that's where I think this piece is coming in, where the White House is proposing guidelines for regulating the use of it. You can't just throw an AI model and just do X, Y, Z. You have to have some more systematic processes to validate these models before putting them to use and taking care of patients. So that's kind of my thought on it. I'm still learning a lot about AI. It's not my area of expertise. Anyways, I wanted to share that. Thought this would be interesting, something to keep an eye on about, because this is regulating the use of AI. I think I just skimmed this article, but it talked about in the private sector. Where did it say that? Yeah. The rules won't affect federal agencies such as law enforcement use facial recognition and other forms of AI. They are specifically limited to how federal agencies devise new AI regulations for the private sector. So it'll be very interesting to see, what comes out from that. So I wanted to share that. A couple other news that I wanted to share is this piece right here. I don't know how many of you are AMIA members, but if you're not, I definitely highly recommend it if you're interested in informatics. It's a great organization, and I've only been recently more involved. But if you're a member, there is lots of opportunities to do policy work. And this one just came out recently, a couple days ago, where they are looking for AMIA members to help draft a response to the ONC's release of their federal health IT strategic plan. So this just came out. If you're interested in informatics at all, I would highly suggest looking through this. It's the government's, I actually have not read this myself. I just have not had time, but definitely something to check out. But thinking about, the strategy from the federal side, and that could be a huge impact in many different areas, especially when it comes to jobs and where the market's going to be going, and where you might want to focus some of your attention on. So something to check out about that. But going back to the opportunity here, AMIA is putting together a group to review and comment on that federal plan. Some of you know that I intern at the ONC, and just from that perspective, these comments that come from agencies like AMIA or ASHP or CM, whoever, organizations that write comments, by law, the federal government is required to read them. So these are very impactful things that these groups are doing when it comes to policy. So if you have any interest in policy, definitely check that out and get involved. But I wanted to throw that out there, that AMIA is putting together a team. I think it's only for AMIA members, but I can't recall. All right, so I think I got through some of the things I wanted to share. The last thing I wanted to share before getting to some of the comments and maybe some Q&A is a video that Tony Guerra put out. A really interesting video, and I think it was in regards to, let me just pull it up if I can find it. Tony Guerra. Here it is. A very interesting comment. It just caught my attention. When pharmacy residency spots exceed residency applicants. And I'm definitely not going to go into all the details about it, but it caught my attention because it's, if I can recount correctly, right now, well, everyone knows right now that pharmacy job market is saturated. And there's a lot of talks about not entering pharmacy for that purpose. So Tony, in this short video, briefly mentions about how all the applicants, the schools are closing, the applicants and applications are dropping, and looking at the data, the trend would almost seem to imply that something like this, when residency spots exceed residency applicants, may occur in the future, just by looking at the data, which is fascinating. And he talked about going back to the like 2006 era, when they used to pay you like a $50,000 sign-on bonus to come into pharmacy because we had such a big shortage. So it's very fascinating to hear about that. So because of this, and something that I worked on a little bit too much yesterday, is I do want to put a little bit more thought into the pharmacy job market. And I started to take some of the data and dump it into Excel and start forecasting what the pharmacy job market looks like in the future. And this is definitely not ready. I just put together a couple graphs I thought would be very interesting to share. One of which is the number of schools in FarmCast. So this right here, this graph that I'm showing is, let me see. This graph right here that I'm showing is the actual numbers of schools, pharmacy schools in FarmCast. And these are the numbers that you get from, I think it's AACP. I don't remember, but it's all published data that you can find and validate yourself if you want. But what I did here is this is like AI, not AI. This is what a lot of organizations are doing, calling it AI right now, is you just take all these data points, you plug them in, and you plot a line of best fit to forecast or predict, quote AI. I'm butchering it right now, but basically I did the same thing. I took these data points about the number of schools, and I used a formula to kind of predict where it would be in the next, I think I did 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. And so if we look at that, it's kind of no surprise. It kind of flattens out the curve. I should have put some data points on here. Yeah, so 153 is where we're projecting will be in the next 3 years. Let me see. At this one. And we're at 133 schools at the close of last year. And so we're predicting it'll be 153 in the next 3 years. So mild growth in that aspect. Then this one's another one about FarmCast applications. So FarmCast applications, I think, is no surprise. And this is some of the stuff that Tony was talking about, where it's just been dropping. Why is it not? There it is at data labels. So there were 43,000. Oh, no, I take that back. Yeah, 43,000 applications last year, and it's going down. So if this trend kind of continues, and I think it was a huge percentage change. It was like a 20% decrease a year or 2 years ago. And then this year was like 15%. So if you continue that trend, it's just going to keep decreasing. And I wish I had the graph, but it deleted my forecast, which is basically it will continue to decrease. So let me take a look. I have another one here. So the number of applications, let me add some data points to this one. Add data labels. So 43,000. Here's the forecast. Perfect. So if the trend continues, based on this formula that you see here, this is the formula plugged in. Using that formula, we would predict in the next 3 years, it's going to drop to 3,000. That is probably incorrect of a forecast. It's probably not going to drop that drastic, but just the main point and takeaway thing here is that it's going to drop. We don't know by how much. So that's the applications. And then this is the other thing is applications doesn't mean anything. It's the number of accepted pharmacy students, right? And a more important statistics later would be the number of pharmacy students that graduate. But this is the number of accepted applicants, historic. So these are actual numbers that has occurred. And you see it's 43,000 in this case. Actually, is this correct? Let me put a filter, number of accepted applicants. I don't even know if this is the right one. Might be this one. Yeah, these are not, they're not done. Like I said, I was just kind of messing around yesterday. But basically it's dropping. That's the main idea. And I did plug in the most recent numbers in a table, which I hope to clean up a little bit more. But so this is where we're at. These are the actual numbers here. These 3 years are forecast. So if we look at them, you can see it's just a drastic decline in the number of applicants that actually apply and the number of accepted applicants. And what I want to do next from this data is actually look at the number of residency spots, see the way it's trending. We expect it to be up. So kind of makes sense, right? Number of applicants decreasing, number of residency spots increasing. And then the last piece would be to look at the number of pharmacy jobs out there to see where we're at and what the pharmacy job market will look like in the next 3 years with all of those things combined. So it was just kind of fun. You know, there's data out there to play with, so why not, right? Anyways, I will close that. We don't need to look at that. I think those are all the things I need to say, and I'm running at like 13 minutes. I gotta leave exactly at 3 o'clock. So if you guys have questions or anything, definitely leave some in the chat. I will jump into your main content, which is Q&A. So let's go through some of the questions. The first comment, looks like from Kevin, is on my video about Emory's MPH program. Looks like he just got accepted. Congratulations, Kevin. It's a very exciting time. The Emory has an awesome program. I really wanted to go to their program for the Applied Public Health Informatics program. I think they had someone by word of mouth was saying that they have the best in public health informatics program, probably because they're so close to the CDC. Okay, so give you a heart question. Let's move on to the next question from Booby. Nice name, by the way. So Booby says, I work in IT for a hospital computer operator. We're going from Cerner to Epic. Big switch. The whole IT have to reapply for our jobs and get certified in Epic. Do you have to stay in Wisconsin the whole time? How many weeks was the training? Do they offer classes, online classes? I'm not sure what module they want us to take yet, but what ones do you think? This is a great question. So do you have to stay in Wisconsin the whole time? You have to stay there for the duration of the class. No. This is a yes and no. So I'll give you my experience. I went to class there to get my Willow certification. Willow is the name that they give to the pharmacy application. So for the Willow certification, I had to go there 4 different times. And each of those times lasted about a week. And so I was in Wisconsin for a total of 4 weeks. I think it was across 2 or 3 months. So you don't necessarily have to stay there. I think usually it's like Monday to Friday classes, if I recall, and it's like a full day of classes. If you need to leave early, you can leave early. It just doesn't really matter. It's not so much the class. As long as you're there and you get attendance, that's the main thing. It's going to be the exams that make the main difference later. So that's kind of a loose rule about staying there the whole time. I think as long as you show, you'll be okay. Mark off attendance. How many weeks was the training? I think I kind of answered that. So it was about 4 different times I had to go back to Wisconsin to do the training. And it kind of depends on the application. Some are as short as 1 day. I did my infection control certification, and that was just 1 day. I think they increased it to 2 days now. So it kind of depends on what you're going for. But Willow is one of the larger ones. So 4 weeks. Do they offer online classes? Yes, they do. There is proficiency training. I guess technically that's not online. It's just all the same material as the certification, but you just do it on your own time at home or at work or whatever. But they have online classes, like virtual classes that you have to pay for. I don't know how much they cost, but that usually goes through your employer. Not sure what module they want us to take yet. I think it depends. So whatever you work for before, and you're kind of vague in your question there. I work for IT and a hospital computer operator. Depending on where you work before, that will dictate what you might want to go into. Some of the more technical folks that I work with typically do training in things like databases or reporting, or general management. So Chronicles database, they have certifications for that. Bridges, which is the module for interfaces. I know a lot of people that do that. There is, what's some of the other technical ones? So some of the reporting ones would be like Cogito. There's all types of Cogito variations. So there's just different tools for reporting. But yeah, it kind of depends on what you were doing before and what you might be interested in. I don't know if that really answered your question, but let's move on. So let's see. Jason's question is, why would you go to medical school after pharmacy school? That is such a long roundabout way to go. Instead of taking prerequisites and then applying for pharmacy, you're already going to 4 years of undergrad and 4 years of pharmacy school. That's a great question. Very good question. Why would you go? I think everyone has their own reasons on why. I think for me, the reason why was because there was a very vivid day I remember on my 4th year rotations on transplant where I was just like, I don't think I can do this every day, and it's like, what is it I want to do with the rest of my life? And I just couldn't see myself doing the type of work I was doing on that rotation. So I was just thinking about other things. And one of the things I realized I really wanted to do at that time is I wanted to be more responsible for the care and also more direct inpatient care. As I think many of you know, in pharmacy, you're not as direct inpatient care. There's certainly roles for it, but I want to be more, hands-on. And so that's what got me thinking about it, and that's kind of why I pursued it. But I can tell you, a lot of the physicians that I talked to and shadowed that I talked to about going to med school at the pharmacy school was like, many of them got bachelors in pharmacy before going to med school. And a lot of them says, if you're going to be a physician, you probably should know your medicines, right? So many physicians that went to med school said, I need to learn my medicine. So they did a bachelor's in pharmacy and then they went to med school afterwards. So these are more older physicians. So that's what they did back in the day. So it's not a complete weird path per se. It's just longer nowadays because the doctorate of pharmacy became the standard entry degree for pharmacists. That's what made it long. And that was like in 2004. So that is why. But to your other point, for pharmacy already going to 4 years, it's a long time. I don't know if I would recommend going to med school after pharmacy school unless you really want it. And if you really want to go to med school, I'd probably say just go straight into med school. There's many other things you can do to learn medicines. Okay, let's move on to so next comment is on my dating video. That was pretty fun to do. This is on the dating in your 30s video. And it says the guy must be taller. No comment. No comment there. I'll just give a heart and a like. Let's see. What do we have next? I need to clear out some of these comments because it looks like, I can't filter out the ones that I liked and hearted. So let me just skip through some of these to see where I got 9 minutes on the live stream. Oh my goodness. Look at this one. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of questions and comments here. Did I answer any of these? No, I didn't. Yeah, let's just read through some of these. Okay, so Raji says, this is on the Epic certifications video. I work for a clinic and I have a chance to go for certification. I had successfully submitted my project, but I failed in first attempt. I have attended for PB claims. Can you please help me? Is there any practice test that can help me? Is stress kind of thinking over? Okay, so maybe this is not worthwhile to read through. This is because they already had discussions on it. Yeah, I might just skip this one and I'll just answer this first question. Basically, there's usually a practice test in every single application at the very end of the chapter. I think one of the things, aside from the practice test, that people say is very helpful is to look at all the red stop signs and informational pieces within the different chapters and make sure you understand the concepts in there as a way to study. And that's one of the things I use to study is one, go through all of those in every single chapter as a review. And the second thing is to go through the practice tests. There's many other tips. I thought I mentioned it in the video, but maybe I didn't. I can't recall. But I'll probably just respond to these individually since there's a huge conversation going on there. Let's move on to the next one from the Mutta Kevin Yee. Hey, look, it's Dennis. What's your favorite milkshake? I don't know, Dennis. What is my favorite milkshake? You probably would know. We'll save that answer for next time. Okay, Kevin Yee says, failing for me has been pivotal to my growth in entrepreneurship and jiu-jitsu. As you learn a lot through that. Dennis says lard. That is a great flavor. That is a great flavor. I don't know. Chick-fil-A milkshakes are the best. Definitely go to Chick-fil-A. I am not sponsored, but Chick-fil-A has some good milkshakes. The cookies and cream flavor. All right, next question is, this has been helpful. Good tips. Good deal. Glad that it was helpful. Okay, next question here is from Vida Urbana. Please update us about your experience. I want to apply to the program. I have a lot of comments that I've been meaning to share about the MPH program because I'm graduating in 4 months. It's kind of crazy to think about, but I have nothing but positive things to say about the Hopkins MPH program, from the people you meet to the content and coursework that you take to the networking opportunities that they provide. It has been one of the best experiences ever. I'll share more about that, but I would encourage anyone that's interested, and if you are interested, definitely apply to the program. Something else to speak about, Hopkins does have a student ambassador program where you can speak with all the current students if you really are interested in the program. So definitely give that a check out. You can go on the website on Hopkins MPH program and contact current students. Oh my goodness. So the chat is getting a little crazy. We probably should I'm going to ignore those comments right there. I have no idea what those things are, so I'm going to ignore those questions. Let's move on to some other comments. I have 5 minutes. Another question from Vida Urbana. Hello, Brian. Have you looked into epidemic Intelligence Service Officer Fellowship at the CDC? I'll be applying to the program by the 21. I feel like you fit the criteria for a fellow. I have not. I'm definitely interested in it. The main fellowship program I've looked at the CDC is the Public Health Informatics Fellowship. I love all of those things. The question for me right now at this point is whether or not I want to continue with more training. Some of my close friends and family know that I'm trying to take a break from school efforts and focus on other things, especially once I graduate, because it's just kind of consumed my life. But if I could, I would. I mean, I'm considering other formal training opportunities in the future, which I'll probably talk about in another video. Sea Love has a lot of smiley faces. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question. You guys, whoever else is watching can figure out what that is. I'm not going to comment on that. Let's see here. Infinity Time. Infinity Time says, another great video, taking my PCAT on September 10th, and I'm super excited. That's great. I haven't met too many people who's excited to take a test. Good for you. I worked in pharmacy as a technician since 2016, and I only hear negative things about becoming a pharmacist from retail pharmacists who feel stuck. Podcast gives a real in-depth look about how they might feel, as well as helping with current thoughts I have about possibly looking at computer science classes in order to get into pharmacy informatics. I feel like my real passion is computers. I'm so far along the pharmacy journey that I have to finish. So the only comment I'll make here is that the majority of pharmacists practice in the retail/community setting. So I definitely don't represent them. So just make sure you take it from that perspective, that I'm not commenting on their behalf. They probably have very different perspectives. And I think Kevin Yee provides a lot of perspectives from the pharmacy retail side if you're interested in hearing more about that. But I absolutely love my job. It's the flexibility is awesome, and then the type of work I do is pretty awesome. So I usually speak pretty positive about it. I do want to put out some more content about some of the negative things in informatics. I think I've mentioned it in some of my other videos before, but there's been multiple individuals that I've, kind of talked to and coached about pharmacy informatics that once they got into it, realized that it actually wasn't for them, which in some ways I feel kind of bad because I don't want to guide someone down the wrong path. So just something to think about. And I want to talk more about some of the negative things that people might not particularly like about the field. And, there's some things that people don't like. Oh my God. I have no idea where these comments from. So we have a lot of trolls in the comments here. When's the last time you COM'd? Maybe I'll respond to that comment. It's an inside joke. So COM is an acronym for the College of Medicine. And the College of Medicine was, connected in the whole health science schools when we went to pharmacy school in the University of Florida. All the health professions were there. Now, the College of Medicine was special because they had the best bathrooms. So when you say COM'd, you were referring to when you need to take a dump, basically. So I guess to the question is, I COM'd 7:15 this morning. It is a normal routine. All right, last question from Dennis. How does an MPH affect your Chick-fil-A diet? That is a good question. It has not impacted at all because I probably should be eating more plant-based diets and more healthy. So no impact at all. Okay, maybe one more question here and I have to head out. Oh my God, this is a long question. We will wrap it up here and we'll continue down the questions next time. How do I make $7.8 million? Why is So we have a lot of people in the live chat. So for those people who don't know, Dennis, C-Love, and Robert, or shall we call AKA Bobbert, they all went to pharmacy school with me. No, I will not play Cardi B, Robert, because my channel will get copyright strikes for music, and we can't have that. All right, guys, I will wrap this live stream up. If you guys have questions in a future live stream, definitely post some comments below. Oh my goodness. Everyone's just trolling here. No, I gotta go. We have a birthday party to go to, so I will see you all next time. Peace. See you next time, Casey. All right, take care.